older now, you know. Even when we was younger, that would have been a great matchup. But you just you never know. I heard that he posted us and talk about us doing.
Floyd Mayweather and Gervonta Davis have just sealed and agreed a fight between themselves that'll hold once Gervonta Davis retires from the sport. After this year, boxing fans are a little divided on this one, as some are of the belief that the pair are staging this for the purse, as they know how much of a crowd they both can pull. However, others can trace this whole thing to Gervonta Davis's latest interview ahead of his fight against Lamont Roach, where he revealed some extra details he had never let out before.
When I talked about the thing with Gervonta, for instance, when I said that I need all fighters,
Claimed their relationship began to experience severe storms after Floyd Mayweather got news that Gervonta Davis and his daughter, Yaya Mayweather, have been having some things going on between themselves. This sounded unpassed to Floyd Mayweather, who soon exerted his authority and did everything within his power to ensure nothing got too deep between Tank and his daughter. Sadly, his first point of action was to push Gervonta Davis towards a loss. However, the Baltimore champion was blessed by the gods of boxing with a punch power that translates to super middleweight. As such, Mayweather's wish didn't come to pass.
Letting them know what's going on, like, see, this was happening, like, you feel me? I'm letting these guys know, so when it be like people saying they want to fight me, it's like, how could you, nigga? I was the one.
The next thing Floyd did was to kick Tank Davis out of his boxing gym, and this was one of the major actions that induced their split. Following this event, Gervonta Davis could read between the lines and understand he was no longer wanted around Floyd Mayweather. There was some kind of crazy trash too with Gervonta and Terence Crawford recently. And one of the things that I've always kind of noticed soon, Tank left Mayweather Promotions, started out on his own, and with his successful career coming to a close, he opened a chapter for the aftermath of his retirement, starting with an exhibition fight against Floyd Mayweather. However, things became more heated between them after the pair began to feud on social media. Those are lifetime losses. And, as long, you out there and gave it 100% in that square circle, if you know you gave it 100%, and you happy with what you did when you went out there, then that's what it is. It is the worst of all, was how Floyd Mayweather did not only pick sides against Davis in his last fight, but also acted in a manner that was unlikely of a boxing legend. He was so after Gervonta Davis's loss that he felt his Instagram post about the fight being cancelled wasn't enough. He also predicted a fight that was clearly an easy win for Gervonta Davis as a 50-50s, and gave Frank Martin some tips to help him defeat Tank Davis. This time his feud with Gervonta Davis got so much into his head that he had secretly called Gervonta Davis's opponent, Frank Martin, and given him tips on how to beat Tank Davis. Whether it fell on deaf ears, or whether Floyd's instructions weren't just enough, we don't know. However, on fight night, Frank Martin, who seemed to put on a great show in the early rounds, fell short after 1 minute and 49 seconds in the 8th round. A devastating blow from Gervonta Davis took him flat on the canvas, earning Gervonta Davis the 30th win of his career on DAV. But that wasn't even where the problem was. The real issue was the involvement of Floyd Mayweather, who had clearly been at loggerheads with Gervonta Davis, having one of the most epic mentor versus protege feuds in recent history. Frank Martin revealed, in one of his many pre-fight interviews, that Floyd Mayweather had helped in some way ahead of the fight, hoping to get back at Gervonta Davis for being disrespectful to him young fighters. He loved to embrace guys, so what was being around talking to Floyd? Like what Floyd taught you about fighting? And has it made you a better fighter? 'Cause he can tell me all day to do that. He does. It came as a surprise to boxing fans and professionals when the Ghost Martin revealed he has been receiving advice from Gervonta Davis's former mentor and promoter, Floyd Mayweather. The lightweight duo locked horns in the ring at MGM Grand Garden Arena, Las Vegas on June 15th, with Gervonta "Tank" Davis retaining his World Boxing Association title. I couldn't do it. Yeah, you know what I'm saying, like, what does being around a guy like Floyd do for you? He could tell you, go run at 2 hours in the morning, go do it when, cause, and as expected, there was quite the trash talk brewing between the two. Still going into the fight, Tank Davis was a heavy favorite. However, while appearing in the Pivot podcast, shared on YouTube before the fight, the challenger Frank Martin revealed the Mike Tyson-esque advice Money Mayweather had been giving him to get the upper hand during his Gervonta Davis fight. My thing is, I've always been there for him from day one. We had a game plan. And my game plan was to help Frank Martin admits advice from Floyd Mayweather. Gives him a unique feeling. As a result of this, Floyd Mayweather has now lashed out at those coming for his head. I do what I want to do and support whoever I feel, Hauser. There a crime in that what's wrong with Frank meeting me for advice? If Tank comes, I'd advise him too. So what's the problem y'all have with me? Mayweather had been in Davis's corner despite their split and the various differences between them over the years. And for the most part, Davis has always respected the former world champion. However, with the Davis-Martin fight alliances surely did help him become world champion and take things to that next level, and I've always been there for him, and just over the years, you can see I've always been positive, always said great, especially since the much publicized online tussle between Tank and Mayweather last month. So when asked about whether there is anything Martin had learned from Floyd Mayweather before the fight, Martin had this to say: he could tell you, man, go run at 2 in the morning because 9 times out of 10, we know your opponent sleeps at that time, said the Detroit, Michigan native. Not that Martin specifically needed to train in those hours, but rather, as he explained it, doing it would give him a mental edge over his opponent, as these are the little things that make a big difference in the end. Martin emphasized that it's nothing that he didn't know or was a big deal, but coming from someone like Floyd, who has been at the highest point in the sport, 10, we know you up and sleep at that time. So go run at 2 in the morning and go get yourself a mental edge. You know, like, cause you know you out there working every night at 2 in the morning, running. That's you are going to take a lot of heave to it, and it's going to give you a different type of motivation when you do it. Said Martin. He also added that even when Floyd shows something, a boxer might not be able to mimic it perfectly, but it'll give you a different type of feel about yourself. Interestingly, that's exactly what Mike Tyson used to do before his fights to gain a mental edge over his opponents. No wonder he became the youngest heavyweight champion, and later an undisputed champion, running at 3 in the morning and chopping wood are just a few of the things Mike Tyson would do to gain an edge over his opponents. However, neither Tyson's training ritual nor Floyd's advice were able to stop Gervonta Davis from doing what he planned to do on Fight Night. Davis, who was coming off a year-long layoff because of the hit-and-run case. He was involved in 2022 and spent 90 days in Baltimore prison, came out on top on Fight Night with an 8th-round knockout. The claims on X that the fight was Canelo. The last couple of weeks, you know, he the one told Frank that I was running at 5 seats. The gap in his resume didn't dull his skills in the ring. Davis defeated Ryan Garcia in his last outing in April last year and finished off with a similar result against Frank Martin. In fact, leading up to Davis's fight against Frank Martin, Mayweather urged his fans to watch UFC instead, after the two traded shots at each other on social media. Famous boxing reporter Michael Benson posted, "Really, how do you know? That it's just word I Floyd Mayweather," and Gervonta Davis continuing their feud as Mayweather trolls Tank by posting that the Frank Martin fight has been cancelled, and Tank responds, "Keep talking, and we'll pull up to your house and lay hands on you." Davis went on to knock out Martin in brutal fashion on Saturday, and in an interview after the fight, the boxing superstar revealed that Mayweather had tried to give his opponent tips on how to beat him.